Welcome to all my subscribers on my latest video here, which is really an update of my Coronation Class and Princess Class Pacifics. I will be featuring some new ones which I haven't shown before, but I thought I'd start off with some small detail modifications that I've made to some Coronation Class Pacifics. So the ones I'm highlighting here are City of Leicester, which is in an early BR black, and City of Lancaster, which is in the later BR version of LMS Maroon. This really is the livery that was towards the end of their service life on British Railways. So the points I'm going to highlight are the picking out of the copper injector pipe work which runs under the foot plating and under the cab. Now, I hasten to add that I've not done this on all my Coronation Class Pacifics. Most of them are still in the sort of standard black, because basically for most of their time you wouldn't actually see that while they were running around on the network. But I thought just a few details here on a couple of them would highlight some of these features and just give them a bit of enhancement. So here's City of Leicester, and you can notice the actual injector device is in a brass sort of colour, and the pipe work is in copper, exactly as it should be. So on City of Lancaster, what we're looking at here is the other side of the locomotive, and you can see that the arrangement is slightly different. That's because one is a live steam injector and one is an exhaust steam injector. Now which one's which I'm not altogether clear, but there is a slight difference, so you can just probably see that there. These models are the China early 2000 based models, and but they've had the greatly improved and enhanced and more accurately portrayed rear truck assembly, which you can see under the cab here, and that makes a vast difference to the way these locomotives look. So these are quite outstanding models. Moving on, the locomotive I've had up before, Sir William A. Stanier FRS. This is one of the modified IVET versions, the last two of the class that were produced just after the Second World War. And as you can see, there's the greatly modified rear end appearance and rear truck assembly and the cut down cab. And on the tender you can see that they've reverted to part riveting of the tender, part welding and part riveting. The earlier tenders from the batches built in the late 30s and during the 40s are all welded tenders. This next one is City of Salford, which I've acquired recently. So that makes up the final duo of the last versions of the Stanier Coronation Class Pacifics, and it's in the late BR greens with the late emblem, and again clearly you can see the cutaway look of the cab and that greatly modified rear trailing truck, foreshadowing the BR Standard Pacifics. The axle boxes are picked out to indicate that they are roller bearings, and I think the locomotives had a combination of Timken and Skefco roller bearings. The models are actually improved and enhanced from the first two that I've just shown. We've got much more accurately profiled driving wheels. I don't know if you can just see that, but you can see where the spokes meet up with the wheel, how it is angled, and that's a much more accurate portrayal of the driving wheels. For those who are eagle-eyed, you will notice that the speedo cable has snapped on this one. That was like that when I got it out the box. So something had gone amiss somewhere, either in the packing or back in the factory in China. But anyway, so I've removed the cable. It's just, I'm deciding what to do with the crank pin. I don't want to do anything with it at the moment, but I'll probably get around to taking it off. Again, if we just move to the top, have a look at how there's a much more accurately detailed portrayal of the top feed and the dome on both these locomotives. And of course there's, I don't know if you can see, there's a lot of detail inside the cab on both of these. But I wanted to get City of Salford because I had it in my mind to do so, but with prices of these things now breaching the £200 mark, I thought I'd try and scour as many outlets, shops, internet sites as I could to see if I could get one for a decent price, and I was lucky to come up with this one, which was coming in, I found it for about 150, which isn't bad by today's standards, because I think the way things are at the moment, the prices are going to start skyrocketing again. So watch out for that one, and whether they start to get out of reach of most people is going to be an issue, I think. But it's a moot point. So I wanted to get this before the prices really started to hike. Of course, the other thing is that they sell out quickly everywhere, a lot of these locos. And you go on and have a look on the site or make a phone call only to be told no, it's not in stock. Moving on, I really wanted to showcase the Princess Class locomotives that I've got now. These are the current versions, and as far as I'm concerned, I consider these to be the jewels in my crown in my model railway locomotive collection. Just take a look at that. That is the very essence of the Princess Class locomotives. This one's, what is it, Princess Mary Louise, 46206. And she's portrayed here in her early BR form with a domeless boiler and the blue, very smart looking blue livery, which didn't last very long. Full detail on the injector pipe work. Small point, it's all picked out in brass colour. Some of that should be copper. I'll leave that for the time being. The mounting on the middle of the boiler at the top is not a dome, it's a top feed cover. So that's where the water is then introduced to the boiler from the injectors and from the tender. And these are fabulously detailed. You can see that all the riveting is in place. You've got all the mechanical lubricators. The shape of the chimney is, wow, what can I say, it's perfect. And I thought the early 2000 versions of these were superb, although I could see there were a number of faults, shall we say, or minor issues, but they captured well the essence of the look of the locomotive in the way that hadn't been achieved before. But these have taken it to a new level. I just think these are the finest looking locomotives ever now in any model railway in double O gauge. And that's just my opinion. They happen to be my favourites for personal reasons, but I just think they're fantastic looking. This one's Queen Maud. And she's portrayed in the late BR green livery. And you can see this locomotive has what we refer to as a domed boiler. So you can see the dome clearly there, sitting between the top feed and the firebox, and just how accurately profiled those details are. They're fantastic. Now, something that's on this one, but not on some of the other late princesses I've recently acquired, you've got the Aws Vacuum Reservoir, which is for the signalling system. And yeah, it is there. That's the reservoir. And I don't know if you can see, but there is a lining of pipework running along the footplate, avoiding some of the other clutter that's on the footplate and going over one of the oil distributors or reservoirs and to the front of the locomotive, and disappearing down just in front of the smoke box there. So we've got that portrayed on this late BR version. Again, there's phenomenal detail, three-dimensional detail inside the cab. The firebox lights up nicely, and you can quite clearly see here the riveted pattern tenders that the princesses had, as opposed to the mainly welded ones which were on the Coronation class. But everything is so beautifully done on this. Moving on, we've got Princess Arthur of Connaught in the BR maroon. Again, this is a recent acquisition. Again, I wanted to get this because the prices, I could see that the prices were going to go sky high. So I scoured and searched and all the corners of the internet and the modelling shops that I knew to find one availability and get it for a decent price. I was certainly not going to start paying over £200 or £180 to £190 for one of these, and I was successful in that aim. So probably I've acquired quite a number of these now, sooner than what I was anticipating, simply to avoid the price rises. But again, this is a fantastic looking engine. Look at that. All the daylight that's been closed, all the gapping daylight between the wheels and the chassis and the boiler have been completely eliminated. And then we got that fantastically, massively represented rear trailing truck, which was so characteristic of these locomotives. The cluster of what do you call them? Safety valves, yeah, on the top of the firebox, which release steam when boiler pressure has reached its maximum permitted level, which on these is 250 pounds to the square inch. There's a cluster of 4 of these, and the representation here again is much better than on the 2000 version. Everything is much more accurately portrayed. The shape of the dome, that top feed, the chimney, the riveting. Beautiful looking locomotives. Stunning. I've had this one up before, but I thought I'd get it up for comparison. This is Princess Elizabeth in black, lined BR black, and very smart she looks too. Here we've got the accurate portrayal and representation of the slide bars on this locomotive. So I think they're often referred to as rabbit style slide bars based on Swindon practice. And again, she's got the domeless boiler. Following GWR practice, I think the steam was collected somewhere around here on the firebox or the join here. This is just a cover for the the water to be placed into the boiler. Yes, they call it a top feed. Right, I was just moving back to Princess Arthur of Connaught. My only criticism of this locomotive, and it's completely churlish, is that it's not the Princess Royal. I'm still waiting for that to appear. That really needs to be represented, because I don't think it's been represented since Triang times, to be quite honest. Well, if it has, I've not seen it. You get umpteen Princess Elizabeths, but and they've done this one before as well, Princess, because I've got one, the early 2000 one. I stood them side by side and I thought, blimey, what an advance again this is. Absolutely stunning. I can't praise these enough. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is, just for those who might be interested in looking at these locomotives in more detail, is I'm going to run through quickly some of the books that I've got on these locomotives. This one dates from the 1980s. A.J. Powell. It's a good book. You can still get it. Loads of pictures, lots of information. And that was one of the first that was trying to make a comprehensive overview of the locomotives. Then there were these fabulous books that came out late 1990s, early 2000s by Irwell Press. Princess Royal Pacifics by Ian Sixsmith. There you get a complete rundown of every single Princess locomotive, the mileages that they did, the boilers that they had, the tenders that they had, when they were withdrawn, all the dates of the heavy and intermediate repairs, all the shed allocations that they had, and lots of backup information to go with them. This is a pictorial accompaniment to that series of the book of. So there was two. No, sorry, there isn't two. There's just the one. I got mixed up there. There's a Coronation Class that has two. This one, LMS Profiles by Swan Publications. Those who are really technically minded on this is a very comprehensive insight into the building of these locomotives, with fabulous technical drawings, which you can only just marvel at, and you think there's no computers back in the 1930s doing this. This was done by men, yes, and it was done by men in drawing offices. And look at this. Very, very technical indeed. Then the Book of the Coronation Pacifics. This whole series by Irwell Press has been hugely successful, and if you're trying to get copies of whatever locomotives it is, there's loads of them out there from all the different great A4s, A3s, Bullied Pacifics, Halls, Castles. They quickly go out of print. They're not cheap, but they are hugely popular. And this was the first of them. And again, it's every single Pacific, every one, with detailed background information of where they were allocated, when they were withdrawn, and all the major stuff about when they had heavy repairs and things. So successful was that book that there was an update done, and this is even better. I'll just pan the camera on that so you can read for yourself what that is actually saying there about the reprint. And all I can say is that I endorse every single word on there. I've only got this recently myself, and it is just mind-boggling. You think by now you'd be running out of photos of these locomotives. Well, you're not, because there's 2 photographic accompaniments to that book. And there's yet more photographs. And finally, there's this one, Stanley Pacifics, by the Railway Correspondence and Travel Society. Very similar, but there's some really good colour photographs of these engines back in the day. I'm going to end it now there, folks. So just let me know what you think about this, comments below, and I'll be doing some running sessions on these very shortly.